both unbearable and unthinkable. In the midst of our sorrow, we wonder if those who have passed are gone forever. Do they remain frozen in time until the end of days? Or can they hear us? Can they see us? Do they have a message?
Tell your dad that you love him. Let him know that you're here. Okay. That was crazy. Now I'm going to explain to you what we just heard.
Hello, welcome to the Necromancer live show. I'm your host, Justin Brown, and we have two guests for you guys tonight to speak with and get to know and learn from them. Their name is Gavin Kelley and Paula Purcell of Phantasmic Ghost Hunters. I will bring them in and we will start this live stream in fashion. Gavin, Paula, how are you tonight?
We're doing good.
Doing pretty good.
All right, that's good to hear. So, are you going to turn this show into a country music extravaganza or no?
No, the guitars ain't tuned, remember?
Oh, well, you better get to work, buddy. I'm just joking. I'm glad that you guys joined me today. I've been wanting to have all my paranormal friends to come on the show and, so we can do some cross, promotion. Let my followers know you better. Maybe some of your followers will tune in, then they will know me better, and we get to talk shop for at least an hour. And I usually start off the show by asking you guys, what in the hell got you into the paranormal? Why are you doing it? Why are you so passionate about the work you do as far as film production, and how in the hell have you been keeping it up at the pace you guys have been keeping it up at?
You want to take that one?
Well, as in paranormal wise, I think it's mostly out of average of in general of every story. It always starts with a personal experience.
Right.
And that's what got me lead into doing in paranormal investigations. I mean, you have the ones out there that tell you you're crazy, and you have the ones out there that are believers. And luckily enough, I have a partnership with a believer.
She's nuts.
I have some family members I think are nuts, but that's in a whole different chapter in that book.
Yep.
Nice.
But what happened is a long, long time ago in a galaxy far, far away.
God, don't make me feel that freaking old.
Okay. And she had a house fire, and it uprooted a lot of interesting things. She started hearing a ball bounce down the hall, and there was no ball in the house. Everybody kind of like leaned on outside of their doors to look, on what the heck was that? Banging on the walls, old lady perfume lingering from the dining room down the hall. Let's see, what else is there? Oh, yes, things getting misplaced, not doing it ourselves. So she was kind of freaking out on it. And at that time, I was watching, well, actually, I wouldn't say watching just yet. I was flipping through all the channels and came across Ghost Adventures, and I'm like, this is cool. I'm going to sit here and watch it. So I started watching it, and then I liked the show. I started watching it fluently. And I became friends with Aaron Goodwin through Twitter. And I explained what was going on at Paula's house, and I kid you not, Aaron said, well, just do what we do. Mm-hmm. I'm like, okay, as in what? He goes, as investigate. I'm like, okay, well, I don't know the ins and outs of investigating. What should I do? He's like, well, first, do you have a camera? I'm like, yeah, I have a Sony High 8 video camera with night vision. He said, okay, that's good. You can do that. Do you have a digital recorder? I'm like, I had one when I was in college. He goes, okay, you can use that. Do you have a camera you can take stills with? I'm like, well, we have two. We have a Kodak. We also have a GE. He's like, okay. And do you have an EMF detector? I said, EM what? He goes, an EMF detector. It detects electromagnetic frequencies. I'm like, okay, can you like tell me in layman's terms? I mean, I didn't even know any of this stuff. So I wound up doing some research online, bought the Ghost Meter Pro, which is, inexpensive. It's a real cheap EMF detector. It's okay. Very sensitive, I can tell you that much. We used that and also a white noise generator, and we investigated her house. And what we came up with was snapped a picture by using a digital still just at the split moment of the High 8 video camera while walking down the hall. We actually captured a picture of an apparition of a little boy on the view screen. So, I mean, that one's phenomenal for us. Then we got an EVP, of course, of Get Out and Leave Me Alone. But we also found out that there's a little boy here named Freddie, 5 years old, died of whooping cough. And his father, they both are here.
So how did you respond, Paula?
I mean, I'm not scared. I just kept my, I know I wasn't crazy.
Right.
Nuts.
Did you find
it kind of
interesting?
Yes, I found it interesting, and it got me really enthralled into the paranormal, and I really got into. But the deal is that was my personal experience with the paranormal, as in grown-up years. If you want to go back to prior to this, my mother was a historical researcher, part of the Historical Society in my town. So me being a historical researcher, it kind of comes with blood, along with a little bit of journalism. My mom was in journalism too. And basically, Mom was one of those, she got into doing the family tree. This is where this all got started at. About 12 years old, got into the family tree. She really wanted to sink into where did we come from, how many nuts are in our family, and do we have any devil worshippers. She was always worried about devil worshippers in our family. So we sat down and got into the family tree. And then, of course, me being the only child, wherever Mom went, I went. And so it equaled out to not only doing our family tree, but doing other people's family trees. Then we end up doing historical researchers on cemeteries, and we end up having doing this and that and the other. And then we end up having, Mom's always been a believer of the paranormal and of the spirits. And she always believed if you're always ever quiet in a cemetery, somebody's going to talk to you. We've done that many a time. And I did have an experience about 14 or 15 years old in a cemetery, where I thought I heard a child talking to me, and I told Mom, I think I'm literally going nuts. I'm going back to the car. And And that's just part of, little tidbits of experience. And of course, when I got on into high school and went into college years, it kind of went to the back of the brain to where, I'm not hanging out with mom anymore. I've started my own life, ended up getting married and having children and all that stuff. And of course, I didn't really get back into the paranormal until I had a house fire and extremely had situations going on in my house that were not, could not explain them. So that's when that kind of triggered me getting back into it and taking a little bit of knowledge of what mom taught me, and here I am.
Nice. I can relate. So, you guys have had your own paranormal experiences. You have an interest in the paranormal. It fascinates you. It entertains you. It makes you passionate. So, how did the creative ventures as far as the filming and the documenting of it start from there?
After we went ahead and got all of our evidence from her house investigation, I compiled it into a video and uploaded it to YouTube so other people can check it out. I was like, oh, this is so cool. We got a picture of a little boy on the view screen. We got EVPs. I'm like, this is awesome. So I went ahead and put it up there, and we were contacted by a producer from South Haven, Mississippi. And he goes, hey, I kind of like what you guys are doing. You guys are not just really sitting in a room going, are you here? Can you, talk to me? Can you do this? Can you do that? Make a noise? And he goes, I really like what you guys are doing. How long have you been doing this? I'm like, doing what? I go, we don't know what we're doing. We just did an investigation, and I put it on video and put it online so other people can check it out, so they can, tell us, hey, yeah, you did get a real EVP, and yeah, you got an apparition. I just wanted to see what peer review would be. And he was like, well, I really like what you guys are doing. I'd like to sign you to my network. I'm like, okay, so what do you want from us? He goes, I want more episodes. I'm like, seriously? So he signed us to his network. We gave him 13 episodes, and originally called the Phantasmic Ghost Hunters. And we had a whole different crew, which is no longer with us. And during that time, Amazon caught wind of it and went ahead and brought us on board. We changed the name. Well, actually, we changed a lot of stuff. Crew, Gamer Crew, and changed the name. Went to the Paranormal Journey to the Unknown, and we've been working with that ever since. We will be releasing season 1 this year, Halloween. And then season 2 is going to be probably coming behind it, like in February or March or something like that. I'm not really sure. It just really depends, because we had a lot of stuff already planned for this, and we had a major server crash where we lost a lot of our footage, a lot of our interviews, a lot of our B-roll. So, and the sad thing was, it was a backup disc that I had, because you have your stuff on a regular machine and then you back it up. Well, that backup crashed. So we lost a lot of stuff. But we're working really hard on building up season 1 and working on season 2. We're basically shooting season 2 right now.
So is this something you kind of drag Paula into to say, hey, you have to help me with this, or is she all on board with it?
I'm all pretty well on board with it. I do all the historical research of the locations, and I'm one of those that takes everything that is given to me like a grain of salt, and then I do my own work. And then I take the stories, I dissect them. Some people don't like what I have. I have a couple of locations that don't like me too well, but I'm at one of those. If you're going to say something is paranormal, or if you say something is haunted, back it up. Don't just say, oh, this, that, and the other, and it's not true. Or you've took something that is of a paranormal experience as of a grain of salt, and you've built this gigantic story around it that is totally opposite of 180 of what actually happened there. And I've noticed that at least a couple of locations that we've been at, or about a location that we were going to go at, until I found out what the real truth and real behind the story is. And I says, I won't step foot in the place.
Yeah, it's kind of sad whenever that happens. It's like, I have a house, I have a tree in the backyard. This is 1800s. Just for fun, I would just say, hey, someone got hung on that tree. Well, then a couple years later, more people got hung on the tree. A couple years later, years later, or a decade later, people are buried in the backyard. Someone got shot on the porch. And then when it gets to our time, there's like 14 people hung on the tree, 12 people buried in the backyard, 6 were murdered, 2 were decapitated, 6 were shot on the porch, 1 was stabbed in the bed, and it just becomes one heck of a major haunted location, even though it never happened.
You forgot the partridge and the pear tree.
Yeah, I know, right? But there are some places that actually have done that, and they're capitalizing on a fictitious character. I'll just leave it at that.
Right. Everybody knows it. The paranormal is a community that can be tainted and skewed and, capitalized in ways that are not based in reality, so I can relate with that. I'm not somebody who's an advocate of, false claims and fakery, fraudulent and charlatan ways. So you don't, you may lose some connections. You may be subject to hatred and backlash. So I totally understand that, and I can relate to you guys if you go through that. But it's you guys make an interesting team, and I'm glad that you guys are able to enjoy doing this together, because I know how hard it is to keep going at your guys' rate. You guys are been busy for the least, from what I've seen, following you guys for the last 4 years, probably maybe even longer. It's going on 5 years that I've known Gavin. So yeah, you guys are always busy. So you guys must have you must refuel at every gas station known to man. So how far do you guys go out? What's the furthest you've been from Kentucky, and how do you guys manage to keep widening your area of research?
We've been as far as Virginia, Radford, Virginia, St. Albans, which is my favorite place, by the way. Yes, I have to throw that in there.
So I don't have to ask you now.
Yeah, there you go.
So south as Corpus Christi, Texas, the USS Lexington. We've been on the Queen Mary in Anaheim.
That's west.
Yeah, that's west. As far north as Melbourne Manor in Iowa.
Yeah. Melbourne, mm-hmm.
And we're wanting to stretch even further. I mean, we've got New York on the map for November.
Yep.
What place in New York can you say?
The Hinsdale House.
That's what I was going to say. That would be the first stop I would do. And there's a lighthouse up there too.
Oh, okay. Well, we're going to actually hit the Hinsdale House, and then we're going to take a 45-minute drive to Niagara.
Yeah, that should be interesting to at least check out. That's in person. That's got to be amazing to be there.
Oh yeah, but we'll be going to. I mean, we're booked from now until July of next year.
Yeah, June, July of next year. Yeah. We do take off for the Christmas. I mean, we do have one location in December, but we do take off for Christmas and part of January. I mean, we still put family as part of our lives. We don't just make paranormal as our number one priority. We do take family life. With everything else we got, of course, it's a little easier for me now because my kids are off to college this year. I'm the empty nester this year, but Gavin keeps me busy enough to where I don't have to worry about empty nester too long. And, but yeah, we've got, a lot of stuff's planned, but we still make family involved. Like I said, we take majority of December off, part of January off for family. And then we take 1 month off in the month of summer when school and college and everybody's out for us to have family life. And we at least take the month of June off.
Nice. Yeah, I don't see how you could not do that and keep that up. That would just be crazy.
We try to keep a balance of some sort.
Yeah, right.
Well, we do.
Yeah, right.
Except when certain things do happen in life and you don't have the unexpected.
Yeah, right.
What?
And we have a movie project we're involved in.
Yeah, we have a movie project rolling. And a podcast.
And a podcast.
Yeah, I just now seen that you wanted to throw the podcast in the mix. Do you think that's going to be manageable with everything else going on?
Oh, I'm pretty sure we'll find time. We don't have a life. Didn't you not know that?
Well,
the every Wednesday at 9 p.m. So yeah,
So
we
now
should be able to pull it
now you
off.
can't watch Necromancer. What's up with that? Come on. I see
What do
how
you
it
mean?
is. Necromancer's every Wednesday at 9, man. So now we're going to be competing.
No,
It's at 8 our time. We're talking about our time. 9 o'clock
Yeah.
Central.
Okay. I thought you were on my
So-
time.
no, we're Central.
Okay. Well,
We're an hour behind.
I feel much better now then. Okay, so you guys have the Amazon thing going on. You have a movie project you're working on. You have the podcast that you're doing.
Yep.
Seemingly, you put everything out there. You don't try. You guys are yourselves. You don't try to put on a facade, like you guys mentioned before. You keep it real, and I like that. And I want people like you on the show to talk about what is real. And one of the main themes of this show is ITC, spirit communication, what state it is in now, where it's going to be, in the future, who knows. But what do you guys do when it comes to trying to actually have a conversation with things you cannot see and detect as, people, how do you do that? I mean, do you use all the tools that are popular and well known, or do you do anything unique or different? And tell me a little bit about that.
Well, it's kind of like where we're at. I mean, it depends on the location. I mean, we sometimes use the bells and whistles, I call it. But we also think outside the box too, because some places that you got to think of locations. Some places have been well investigated.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it's saturated to the point of, oh, there they come with the little bells and whistles again. We're going to have fun with this tonight, but I'm not even interested. And the deal is, you sometimes go into a location, you have that, you're not going to get nothing because you've got to sometimes think outside the box.
Right.
And you sometimes have to go in and you have to change the environment of where you're at. I mean, sometimes you have to go in and not go in as investigating. You've got to go into what this person's life or this location's life might have been, because even though they talk about maybe of a spirit of a lady in a dress or or of clothing of 1920s or the 1910s or something, and you're dealing with present day versus their world. So basically you're walking into their world of reality and you're sitting there or you're investigating there and you're trying to give them modern technology. Sometimes you've got to take it back a little bit. You've got to think about what it would have been like in the 1910s and 1920s. Well, they don't have all these bells and whistles. They have just basically conversations. Sometimes we just turn on a recorder, set it down, basically have a conversation as if we're a bunch of ladies sitting in a room having tea. Or you pick up the phone and you're making a phone call type thing of maybe calling your mom, how you have a conversation with your parents, your grandparents, your children, or whatever. The same concept as you have in the spirit world. You're sitting there, you're having a conversation with them. Do you ask them, do you know you're dead? No, I don't. Now, I do have a conversation I do like to ask if I can get a name, if you're a male or a female, so I can know who I'm talking to. Because I try to center our conversations towards, if it's a woman, 9 times out of 10, a woman has had a child.
Right.
And you've got to throw that in as in, okay, or you were a sibling of how many children, you can play off and in bringing into conversation. And when you do, you actually warm the atmosphere up to where the environment they're in will most likely try to respond back. You basically have to have the room talking in order for you to repeat getting a conversation back.
So you connect. You find ways to personally connect with spirits who may be there instead of just walking in demanding things to speak through a radio, essentially, is what you're saying.
I mean, I do use an SB7 occasionally. I do use a program called Alice. I mean, I do use certain things, but I also just use basic too, because the fact is sometimes it works. Sometimes I'll go in there and we'll take a speaker and we'll hook it up and run a sound wave of white noise for like 10 minutes, just a sound wave of white noise. Then I shut it off, because what it is, I've gave them, something to play with, but in return, I'm going to get silence back hoping that I will get something recorded on my recorder.
Right. I do a lot of white noise research, and I like using it because it's pure and clean and not full of, false positives. So if you get something, you got something, and you don't have to sort through the mess of trying to interpret all radio snippets and everything else that could be coming through, like the apps with the phonetic generators. So I'm sure you guys are, well versed in all the tools of the trade out there, and have probably used just about everything out there, right?
Oh yeah,
yeah. We've played an experiment. I mean, anything that's giving to us, we have a lot of developers and a lot of designers and stuff that has given us stuff. Say, hey, I want you to try this. We do. I mean, we give them a benefit of the doubt. We go to a location. We'll go and and we'll check it out, and we sometimes put it as part of our episode, and it shows, this kind of might work, and again, it might not. And we give it as an opinion of, okay, we use this item in there. It kind of gives an open-ended feel to our viewers, as in, is that something that I want to put as part of my group, or nah, I don't care for that too much, I'm going to step away and do something else. I mean, we also throw that option into our show too, because, everything is different in every society and every world, and every person thinks individually, every person thinks differently. I mean, everybody has their own version of a sandwich technique.
So you review things on your guys' channel and on your videos, essentially, is what you're telling me. You give it a chance, you review it, let the viewer kind of decide for themselves. Gavin, out of all the things and methods and tools you've reviewed, what do you use the most? What do you like the most, have the most results from?
I really like using the MF1, which is now called Eddy by Centrex Technology. That one's pretty cool because it's a 3-in-1. You have your temperature, you have your EMF, as well as a geophone, which I think is really cool. Just go ahead and turn it on, place it somewhere, and just put a camera on it and see if anything interacts with it. I mean, I really like that one, but my second go-to is definitely the thermal. I've been playing with the thermal a lot. I really like it.
Do you have any results with that? Because I know that a lot of people use the thermal camera, but it's limited. It only reads surface temperatures. Do you actually get things on the surfaces that you can kind of classify as something unexplainable?
Well, one of the things that you have to do with the FLIR, I just learned this, and it was just a sheer accident or a fluke. If you shine a flashlight in the general direction where you got the FLIR going, everything gets outlined.
Really?
Which is kind of cool, yeah. Otherwise, it all looks like a big purplish, yellow, orange blob. It looks like crap. But if you actually shine a flashlight in that general direction, everything turns into an outline, which is really cool.
Does it have like a secondary camera that detects normal light and it integrates in with the thermal imaging? Is that how that works?
Not that I know of. It's just one thermal camera on it. We used the FLIR 1.
Okay.
With the tablet.
If the ones for the mobile devices, they have more than one camera. So I think that I might be correct. You might let me know if you research that, if that's right or not. Because it uses the other cameras to increase the detail.
Well, I know we've got a couple of experiments that we're wanting to do with the FLIR on the next investigation. Because sometimes we'll come back from an investigation thinking, well, what if we did this with this piece of equipment instead of this? And so we've already been plotting out on our next investigation what kind of changes we're thinking about the item, or how to reutilize the item, or how to rethink the item in certain circumstances.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Alrighty. Well,
we got other devices that we're going to be probably messing around with, which is a 360 motion detection laser grid with a 360 camera. There's something that we're currently working with right now.
I think I remember you telling me about that. Gavin, I want to remind you that your audio is doing the same thing it did yesterday on our call. It's not horrible yet. Yeah, it's rapidly getting worse. So you may need to restart.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead and do that. Yeah, go ahead and do that now. I kind of knew that was going to happen. But while Gavin's fixing that, he's using a new device that Tascam has sent them. Tascam sponsors Gavin and Paula right now, and they give them an array of different, recording devices and other things to use. And when Gavin started, letting people know on his social media that he was going to start a podcast, his sponsors at Tascam sent him over a device that maybe he'll talk about here in just a few once he gets his audio back into shape. And it allows him to, interface with his laptop or his computer and run, microphones as you see them doing now. But it has some problems that he needs to work out. I don't got anything yet, Gavin, just so you know. It usually took about a minute or two last time we were on. But these guys are insanely busy all the time, and we're going to talk about a few things. I'm going to try to make the show a little bit different. I don't want to have a cookie cutter show, so we're going to ask these guys, what's their favorite places and so on and so forth as we do in each show. But we're going to kind of get into a personal level, hopefully, here once we get them back. Nothing yet, Gavin. And your video feed. Oh, you're back. I just don't have audio yet. No audio yet. So we're gonna wait for them and to come back on. I'll go to the screen momentarily, and when I get them back on, it shouldn't take them too much time. But I'll speak about a project that I just recently got done, and I'll tell you what, I'm really proud of it, and I want you guys to check it out. But I'm having nothing yet, Gavin. I'm having a lot of problems with the merchandising of it. I thought I could just put it on my website, but I'm going to have to upgrade my website. I'm talking about the Haunted Hickensport School documentary, and I had an awesome turnout at Ripley, Ohio Library. Oh, I heard something there for a second, but then it went out again. And I had an awesome turnout, and I sold all the DVDs I made down there. It was kind of hard to judge how many people was going to show up and buy the film. So I have a few other people that are interested in the DVD, and I just got done ordering some materials for that DVD. So if you are watching in post or in live, and you're from the Ripley, Ohio area, just go to the library and let them know that you're interested. I'm going to make... Hello? I think I can hear you now.
You can hear us?
Yes.
Nope. Oh, there we are.
Yes.
All right, we got you back. But like I was telling them, I got a weird delay in the audio.
Uh-oh.
Oh, great.
Oh, man. We got to figure out this bot.
I can hear you guys okay, but maybe it's just Google doing it. It's not doing it anymore. Yeah, it seems like after about 30 minutes it does it, so I don't know if it's bandwidth. I don't know, but that would be the first thing I would check into, but it may be something totally different.
Or it might be our area, because we have issues in our area sometimes,
It did it to him at work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're on a T3.
Well, that's true.
And
still.
here we're on 150 megabits per second, so it really shouldn't be doing that.
Right.
Yeah, but that's Comcast for you.
Yeah, just Comcast for us. They bite.
Is there any forums for that little gadget you got from Tascam?
You mean instructions?
No, like forums online that you can go on, like all kinds of tech nerds go on and talk about all the troubleshooting things.
Probably so.
Probably so. I mean, this is brand new, so I really doubt there's going to be a lot of people out there.
Well, hopefully you fix it before your podcast.
You're right, yeah. I'll have to work with Eric on this and find out what's going on, because this doesn't make any sense.
Right. Yeah, I've never
So
seen
like you said, it only lasts 30 minutes, and next thing you know, out it goes.
Yep. All right, well, we'll continue. Real quick, let our viewers know that's watching right now, what places do you return to? What places that are there that you go to that just draw you to them again and again? What makes that place special to you guys and worth going to?
Mine is Old South Pittsburgh Hospital,
Mine's St. Albans.
of course.
As you said.
I love St. Albans. St. Albans has a special in my heart.
Why is that? Do you connect with the spirits there?
I just connect all together with it. I just connect with the personality of the building, what's in the building, the stories about the building, the history about the building. I put it this way. I became an obsessive with St. Albans. Gavin will tell you this. I have became so obsessive with St. Albans that I end up digging way too deep into St. Albans. I finally had to step away and start focusing on other locations because it was eating me up, if you know what I mean. And I put it this way. I have over 75 pages of documentary evidence of St. Albans historically wise. I have about every death certificate of every patient that has died there. I've even got into the history of the patients themselves and have wrote articles, and I have written, and that's how we're end up getting stuck with a movie production, because some of my in-depth research on a couple of the patients, well, actually about 5 or 6 of the patients there, has turned into somewhat of a documentary.
Awesome. And wow, I mean, that's a lot of research. I totally get, you know, why you
about 2 years worth.
Yeah, I would get why you get so consumed with the place, because, you know, when you start doing this type of work, if your empathy doesn't allow you to be consumed here and there with people and the tragedies and the history, I don't think that you're probably not doing it right. So it must be a struggle that a lot of paranormal researchers like us have in common, with trying to find how to separate from those places to try to find a balance. Does that sound like something that you're going through?
Well, yeah. I mean, we were in St. Albans, last February?
Yeah.
Yeah, and we're going back next year. It is, and I know I have to step away, but I know if I get to go back, I of course, dunked myself back into it, and I always find something new. Every time we went, we've always investigated something new or different about St. Albans, and there's still a whole lot more there that was not been discovered yet. I just know this.
Big place, right?
And the big place. And
Freaking maze.
yeah, it is. You can get lost in it very quickly. I mean, you have to keep your focus on where you're at all times, because if you step just away from something, you're lost.
Nice.
But as far as history-wise, there's still more into it that, you know, is open-ended questions. And sometimes when you do an investigation can actually help you with those open-ended questions, because whatever you are given back, you know, as possible evidence, I take it and I throw it back into the research that I'm looking for, going, this, and this makes sense, so I'm going to go peer it off this way. And I've done that. I've done that on several locations and was able to get answers based on EVPs that we've gotten. Or, you know, if we go to a location and it says, you know, we get an EVP, as in, say, for instance, we just recently got an EVP at a location, was it the Monroe House, I think, where we got the word murder?
Oh, yeah, murder.
Yeah, and that was an
Monroe
EVP.
House.
That was not done with a spirit box or any of the electronic gadgets or Alice or anything. This was a straight up, that was one of the locations where we thrown a heavy noise of white noise into the building for at least a good 10 minutes. And we shut it down. And when we shut it down, we went in there and we set up our Tascam recorder into the kitchen. And we had gotten, right after that, after we I call it warming up the building, we had gotten to where we did do a couple of electronic questions out in the air, where we have set up a system to where no one has to be in there because no one has to see us or whatever. We set up this questioning, and we push the button, and they ask the questions. We wait 10 or 15 minutes, or not 10 and 15 minutes, about what, 45 minutes to 45 seconds to a minute. And then the next question is asked, and it's all recorded. And there's nobody present. We just have our camera set up, and we've walked away from the building. In that time, we had gotten how we did get the question of, and it's thrown into the system. I've been trying to get the question to be pulled out, but we do have it in this electronic system set up for questioning is, do you know why you're here? And then that's when we had gotten the answer of murder. And that was a straight up, sounds like a woman's voice that sounds the word murder. We also got sounds in that same room, in which happens to be the kitchen. Mm-hmm. We hear sounds like the drawers are opening, the cabinets are trying to open, and there's a sound. I'm not too sure if it's footsteps or some kind of clicking sound.
Clicking.
Yeah, I don't know, because I know if people have seen the lady that is like in her in a 1930s and 1940s attire, I'm thinking, if it's clicking noise, I'm thinking, it could be footsteps, for the fact that if women from that time period wore those little square shoes, we had those little square click heels that when you walked on any kind of linoleum or hard surface, they clicked when they walked. And that's what I'm thinking, because it's a certain type of pattern of clicking, like, a step foot clicking, but we're not too sure. And so, but yeah, that's one of the,
Monroe House. That's, a lot of people believe that's a dark location. Some would go as far to say demonic. What do you think, guys? What do you think after investigating that place? I know you've at least done it once. I'm assuming you've done it more than once, twice. I mean, what do you guys think? Do you think it's theologically screwed up, or do you think it's just something, dark that comes across that way?
I think it's a dark entity, but I don't think, people can speculate on this. I mean, we've had our own speculations throughout our group, including with our filming and our guest investigators, and between us and
Matt Benton.
Matt Benton's on the chat, by the way. Sorry, Paula.
And
what's going on, Matt?
And I mean, it's one of those deals that everybody has their own interpretation of the building. Mm-hmm. Personally, if it's demonic, I don't know. I mean, we didn't have a demonic experience. We didn't have, something evil grab us or anything to that effect.
Joe did have an experience when he was sitting in the planet room on the floor in the corner. He said that he started hearing the sound of footsteps, and then he actually got the smell of dirty diapers. So I was like, dirty diapers? He's like, yeah, it was really foul. It came and it went inside that room. And, of course, this is the very same place where I was outside at the command center. Matt was watching the DVR screen. And I was telling him, I just got done putting down these REM pods, motion detectors. And I'm like, oh, that one's going off. He's like, yeah, it is. And all of a sudden, the camera moves up in the corner of the screen. And he's like, are they moving it? I'm like, no, they're in the living room. So we actually got on footage watching our camera, DVR camera, move all by itself. And he just goes flying on in there trying to figure out where it is. The camera is pointing into that planet room. So there's really something about that planet room. I just can't figure out what it is. I went in there myself, and I felt kind of uneasy in there. And I was just drawn to the closet that was over in the corner. And I was just like, I feel there's something in there. And Matt came in, and he opened up the closet. So I'm like, okay, so there's nothing in there. But it's just a real uneasy feeling in the planet room. I don't know what it is. I thought there was going to be something really scarier down in the basement, but the basement wasn't really bad at all. I did do a crazy experiment. They have a huge human-sized devil's toy box in the shadow hallway at the Monroe house.
Okay.
So I went ahead and sat in the middle of it.
Wow.
I think everybody turns to sitting in the middle of it.
Yeah. I did it first, and then Matt went after me. Did Joe? No, Joe didn't do it.
Joe didn't do
Joe
it.
chickened out.
No, but when I went back, I did it. And I did it with it completely closed.
It was dark when I did it.
No, but I'm just saying, yeah, but you kept the box open. I didn't keep the box open.
It was pitch dark, though.
It doesn't matter. You kept the box open.
Whatever.
So,
anyway,
did it
I
yield
was
any
in there.
results, or did anything happen?
Well, I saw for a split second, I took a double take, and you can actually see this on the footage, too. I swore that there was an old man to the left of me. I could see him. I could tell you exactly what the guy looked like. And I've actually spoke to a psychic friend of mine, and she said the same thing before I even told her about that. I told her that I sat in this box, and for a split second, I took a double take. I saw something in the mirror, and she said, yeah, it was an old man with a white beard. And I'm like, yeah, how'd you know? But Matt was in there, and of course, we got some, what I want to say, matrixing, or because looking at the DVR screen and have him in there and he's staring at the mirror, it looked like there was a doctor that showed up. It looked like it had the doctor hat on and the mask, and it looked like a doctor. But of course, it was basically either the back of his head or something, but it really looked like it was a doctor in there. And the funny thing was, when I told him that we saw what appeared to be a doctor in front of him, Alice started mentioning a bunch of medical terms. Infusion, doctor, what was the
Bandage. You got the word
bandage, but also the one about heart. What's the word about heart? It's another word for heart attack, but not really saying heart attack.
Defibrillate.
No, that's a big word.
Oh, I can't.
Palpate?
Palpitation.
That's it.
That's
that
a
one
big
showed
word,
up.
too.
Yeah. I couldn't even say it, but that one showed up, and I had to ask her, I go, what the heck does that mean?
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I believe that's your heart's beating in out of rhythm, I think is what it means. But
well, when I was there, I started getting chest pains really bad, and come to find out that that's when that word popped up, and then afterlife popped up. I was like, oh, I think they're trying to kill me. So I got out of there.
Sounds like an interesting place. It's definitely on my list. I know a lot of people actively investigate it, so sounds interesting to me. But let's shift gears, okay? I really want to ask you guys a personal question. I know you guys do a lot of research and a lot of investigating. Do you ever make an attempt or have any desire to try to speak to anybody that you personally know that's passed, a friend, a relative? Do you do anything like that?
No.
No, we're not SH.
You're not SH. Can you
Yeah,
elaborate?
think about it.
Oh, okay.
First name, last name, H.
Okay. Well,
Okay, he figured it. Yeah, we're not going to be talking to Robin Williams or Paul Walker or any people like that. No. I don't think we've ever attempted to talk to anybody, but there was an instance we did do a residential, which was her friend. And her husband, recently, hung himself. So he committed suicide.
It was a year prior to our investigation.
It was a year prior to our investigation. We were in there investigating this house because she started having problems. And we weren't really talking to him, but we had the SB7 on, and we heard his voice come through as he named his wife and his son. So we really didn't, what you're talking about, do we actually venture out to try to communicate with these people? No, we did not do that. We were actually just trying to help her find closure, in other words, find out what's going on there. And we didn't really say anything about, hey, Johnny, are you here? We want to talk to you. We didn't say anything like that. It just came through all by itself.
And the deal is, we usually don't do residentials, but this was a friend of mine that begged us to do it because the fact is she known us and she didn't want strangers in her house, and she knew I had a personal well, not really a relationship, but I knew Johnny personally and I knew her family personally. And she thought maybe with me being a personal contact to the family that maybe we could get some better answers. And that's the only reason why I agreed to the residential. But personally, I don't like doing residentials because I don't want to get the, families can go 50-50 on paranormal. And I've seen people actually get freaked out, sell their houses and leave. I've seen people understands the concepts, but they always have to look over their shoulder because some people who do not know exactly, and then some people do get closure from finding out what's wrong with their house or what's wrong with their living with and stuff.
It's a gamble.
It's a gamble. That's true. And I've seen where people have done private investigations and screw with people's minds and freak them out. And they would end up getting the priest to get involved, and they'll come in there and
demonologists.
Oh yeah, I have seen, and I'd rather do public investigations and put them on the show. I don't ever want to put people's private lives out on display. I just couldn't handle that.
And then besides that, people that contact us that want us to do their house know that we have a show, and this is their little evil way of trying to get in, if you know what I mean.
They're trying to get famous.
Yeah, we actually did do one because the lady contacted me. She sent me a picture. She said they just moved in. This is it's a brand new house, and they were walking down the hallway, and she saw something really weird in the entryway. So she snapped a picture because she liked using her cell phone. She liked to snap pictures and selfies and everything. Sent me a picture of a guy that had no head. And I'm like, okay, so what's the story with this? And she said that her husband is a cop, and he went ahead and dug into the history of that area. And he said, that there was a guy that committed suicide by blowing his head off with a shotgun. So this picture depicts a person with no head. So I wound up looking at it, and I'm like, okay, well, I gave it to Paula. Paula couldn't find jack squat on the place. And she was like, well, let's just give them the benefit of the doubt, and we'll go on out there. So we went all the way out to, where the heck was it?
Grandview, Indiana.
Grandview, Indiana. And we went all the way out there. We did our investigation and everything. And we did have a few weird things happen. We took a Furby, and this is the first place we actually tried it. We like to use the Furby because if there is a child present, they'll like to play with the Furby because the Furby talks, and the Furby will only interact if there is interaction with it. Mm-hmm. So I stuck it on a chair with the Ovilus 3, and all of a sudden Furby went like that, and the Ovilus went human. And then Furby goes, what's your name? And then it popped back and said Satan. So I was like, God. Okay, so we have Satan now in the basement. Now, the best part is Paula is upstairs in a bedroom, and she started reciting.
I don't like to provoke, but I realized that we had something that I need to find out if this family had something that we need to call,
a demonologist
or a priest or something, because after what we experienced in the basement, I felt like we need to go upstairs to where that room is supposedly off from where this guy blew his head off.
Yeah.
And so I sat in there. I set myself in the middle of the floor. Gavin put all the
I made a paranormal triangle.
Well, actually, it was more of a square.
Okay, a square.
We had the 360 off in the corner. We had the mail.
We had one in the closet too.
Yeah, we had one off the closet, and then we had a mail. I don't remember what all we had around.
REM pod. We had everything. It was basically all around her. She was engulfed in devices.
And so I was like, okay, whoever's in here, I feel that you're not happy here, and you are not, of a spirit kind. And so I opened my Bible, and I started reading out of it.
And then the Ovilus popped
and
up.
Then that's when everything started going nuts.
All the devices popped on. The lights were on. shut the camera off. The camera wouldn't even start back up because I had the camera on her and the devices so that way we could document it. Shut that off. Couldn't even get it back on. The Ovilus said harvest, souls, death, and it just kept on going.
The Ovilus just went nuts, and I never seen the Ovilus go nuts like that. I've seen it catch, throw words. And the deal is with the Ovilus, you're doing 50-50 on anything. But that, I was questioning the Ovilus to an extent of, this is a little extreme. And if there was something, more to severity of it, when I quit reading the Bible and got up out of the circle and walked away, everything quit.
Yep.
So we did the experiment over again. I went back in the circle. I sat back down, and then I started reading the Lord's Prayer and all that stuff. Stuff started coming back up again. So, we left the house telling them what we had found and explained to them what we experienced. And after that, we've never heard anything from them or...
Oh, yeah, we did.
Well...
Because I wound up doing some more investigating into that frickin' picture. I went ahead and handed it off to an old buddy of mine, and he found the ghost app that actually created that very apparition. So we were taken advantage of. However, we did uncover something dark, which they didn't know about.
Okay, well, that usually doesn't happen.
No.
But I am a strong believer in that there's really concrete signs of demonic activity. Usually when you get stuff like that, in my opinion, it's things that are putting on a performance. They want you to believe that, it's evil, demonic, or it responds to, that type of theological provocation or, religious provocation, just because you're going to get interaction with it that, that it's going to enjoy, and it get a rise out of you, if you know what I mean. So,
right.
Do you guys ever work, as far as you guys' shows and things you do outside of residential, do you guys ever work with empaths, psychic, mediums? Do you rely on them? Do you use them at all?
Yeah, periodically. He's looking at me. Yeah.
I'm a sensitive and an empath.
But she clashes with others.
I don't clash with everybody. I just only clash with a couple.
Yeah.
All right, Paula.
It's just...
Is there anyone that you've used that align with what you pick up on? Ever?
Mary.
I have a couple that I have worked with that certain psychics, and this is just on a personal experience. Some psychics and medium are more powerful than others. Me, I don't know what my full ability is because I didn't know. I realized I have this until I started experiencing stuff and started having weird dreams about locations that we've been or locations that we're going to be going to.
And that's weird.
Yes, and I would get very detailed in my dreams. Now, I have become good, close friends with two of my psychic friend mediums. And one of them is kind of on the same length as I am. And I was very stressed out over one of the dreams of a location that we've not gone to yet. And the only reason why I had a dream is because I was watching one of the paranormal shows with Gavin, which I usually don't do.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of watching the shows because I can actually get a psychic intuition of a location into my head to where maybe a year or 6 months down the road, I finally go to that location and that information just feeds back into me. It's like I can look at something and memorize something just by looking at it.
I was watching it and you just leaned on over
and
what are you watching?
Yeah, what are you watching? I was just like, and the deal is I didn't know, what he was watching. I was more worried about where they were at, and it bothered me.
Yeah.
And I never had an episode. I never had a show. I never had anything like that bothered me. And I was just like, there's something going on with that house more than what they are saying about that location.
Yeah.
And of course I went to bed and it bothered me. And I had this very, 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 very vivid dream about this location and experiences that I were having in this location and what was giving back to me at this location. I woke up in the middle of the night in shock and in sweat and fear, and then it just bothered me for the rest of the day. I told Gavin about my dream. He kind of looked at me strange and all that stuff. And then I was like, I posted on Facebook, I'm going, I need some of my psychic friends or anybody can interpret dreams for me about this dream that I've gotten. And then Mary had commented, Mary Barrett, she commented on my Facebook page, she says, honey, you need to check your phone. I go and I look at my phone exactly the same time, right 15 minutes before I woke up from a cold sweat in my dream. Mary Barrett had texted me and told me, honey, do you need me?
Mm-hmm. What's interesting is I have a young lady on my team that does something very similar. She's a psychic dreamer. What you just described is exactly what she described. So it's interesting that people have those abilities, you know, and freaky that you dream something and when you go, it happens. And she actually said she had 3 dreams exactly the same of something that's going to happen to me at Waverly when I go Monday. And she's not telling me what it is just to see if it happens. And
oh man, that's messed up.
I know,
right? See, for me, I'm not a full-fledged psychic or medium. I can't go in there and say, okay, there's a baby crying over in the corner, or that's a gentleman standing in the corner, you know, with this long beard. Now, I can't do that. But if I am fully balanced to where I'm going in a location to where I am calm enough and I'm stress-free, I can feel if there's sadness, if there's anger. I mean, I was in one location. I didn't even know I could do this until it scared me one time. And we were at a location and we were actually doing kind of a paranormal get together with a few other people, and we were having our own little paranormal circle and
round table.
Well, a round table type thing. And I had never been in this location whatsoever. This is my very first experience I had. We had not been, me and Gavin together alone had not been investigating, just us two together for about maybe 6 months together alone. So we've only done 2 or 3 locations. And so we started building our group, our locations back up and whatsoever. Well, we decided to go to this round table to kind of get us back into doing what we do best. Well, what we do best, but what we do, what we do.
Get back in the game.
Yeah, get back in the game. So we had went there. Well, I was sitting there. Of course, they had a psychic there that was on Skype, I think it was.
Yeah, he was on Skype from California.
From California, and he was part of this round table group and everything. I kept getting sicker than a dog, and I thought, okay, I've ate. I know I haven't done without any sugar or anything like that. Blah, blah, blah. I kept thinking over my head. I was getting sicker than a dog, and I started feeling depressed. And I started feeling, headaches, stomach aches, and I started getting depressed. And I started feeling like I was about ready to cry, as in I was just literally wanting to just let go. And I just had to get up and tell Gavin I had to leave.
But you also saw that shadow in the corner.
I kept seeing a shadow in the corner, and it kept bothering me too. So I just had to get up, and I left and went outside. The lady that was running it, she kind of privately messaged Gavin going, what's going on? He goes, I don't know. Let me message Paula and find out. And I had to tell him everything I was experiencing outside on my phone to him, and he was getting the messages back. And then he was copying the messages and sending them to the lady that was in charge that was kind of, and then the guy that was the psychic medium from California was messaging her the same time that Gavin was messaging her. And that's when the psychic medium said that there was a little boy standing not very far from me. In the corner, crying.
Crazy.
And that's when I started having a full-fledged experience. And then that's when I started going to a couple more locations. And I was like, okay, well, I'm going to try this and see what happens. And then that's when I found out. And I have been dabbed by 7 or 8 psychics and mediums telling me that I do have the special gift. I just don't know how to fully turn it on yet.
Right.
And and I've been validated from all the way from Mary Barrett to Rick Hayes to telling me you've got it. You just need to learn how to open it up more because you've got something more there than you think you've got. And I'm working on it, but I'm just taking baby steps because I don't know how to fully fledged experience this. But I'm taking it to the stripes of, okay, I'm going in here. I'm opening myself up to this location. Whatever is given back to me, that's fine. But I know I cannot go into a location stressed out. I've already found that out. It doesn't work because if I've got to leave whatever going on at home, I got to leave whatever's doing what's going on. I have to leave it outside of our location because I've already found when I go into location and I don't get any kind of readings, I don't have any kind of feelings, I say, this place ain't haunted. You know, I get that feeling of, oh, okay, I'm here at a location, it's not going to work, you know, whatever. And then, but yet I've been to locations to where I felt calmed. Well, not really calmed, but I felt like I took the stress and put it out behind me, but yet I can walk in and I'll be like, okay, I can do this. Just like Melbourne Manor, that attic bothered me. I have never had any fear in my life going into a location in my whole life. I have been to several locations. The attic at Melbourne Manor, I walked up the stairs and I have never felt fear before at a location than I did at Melbourne Manor in that attic. I didn't feel fear at the basement at the Monroe house. But I also was not myself at the Monroe house at the first visit either. But Melbourne Manor, I actually felt my first experience of full-fledged fear. I would not go up there by myself. I had to make Gavin go up there with me. I could not do it. And then I couldn't wait to get out of the attic.
Yeah, she had to go first because she wouldn't let me go first. And of course, she got scratched at the Melbourne Manor.
Yeah, that was after I got out of the attic. Yeah, we were in another location of the Melbourne Manor and I got scratched.
Henry or Hank's room?
It was Hank's room.
Hank's room, there you go. Yeah. She got scratched. Couldn't believe that.
Wow. I'm sure you guys got a lot of stories and a lot of experiences under your belt that we could talk for hours about. But
probably
before the Tascam, hits the dirt and bites the bullet again, why don't you let everybody know where they can get in contact with you, where they can see your work? Go ahead and plug everything that you guys do.
Yeah, you can find us on www.phantasmicghosthunters.com. We're also on, well, actually, I got to rephrase that. The server crashed, and they lost all the DNS entries and everything for the hosting that we're with. So if you type in www.phantasmicghosthunters.com, it's just going to go to Wix. So they're working on trying to get all their DNS addresses all back up. But I do have a link on my Facebook page where you can actually click on it and then go to the website. I'll go ahead and give you that as well. Let's see, where else can we go? What else?
We have our Phantasmic Ghost Hunter page on Facebook. Mm-hmm. We also have Paranormal Journeys in the Unknown Facebook page.
That's too many pages.
Yes, we do. And we also have our personal Facebook pages. Gavin has one. I have one. We're going to be starting the podcast soon, so that'll be some more links that goes to that too.
Yep, and we got a couple of events that we're going to be going to. We're doing a lot of benefits. The first one's going to be September 2nd at Old South Pittsburgh Hospital. We're involved with Cover for Cancer, and that's with Phoenix Entertainment. And after that, we're going to be over at Silicon Convention in Mattoon, Illinois, and that'll be September 8th and 9th. September 23rd and 24th, we are going to be all the way out in Biloxi, Mississippi at the Gulf Coast Paracon. And it's
at the Jefferson Davis's homestead.
Yeah, President House. And let's see, October, we're going to be doing Ghostology at our local public library on the 26th. From 7 to 8 p.m. And then we're going to be packing all of our stuff up and heading out to New Orleans so we can be there for the Haunted Bourbon on October 27th through the 29th. And folks that are actually coming out to the Haunted Bourbon will be able to see the premiere of our first episode before it goes on Amazon.
Well, it's also, you got to realize that also the money being raised for during the bourbon is going to go and benefit the local New Orleans Police Department too.
That's
Precinct 18.
That's pretty cool.
And I know we're also going to be doing a meet and greet on October 21st at the Crime and Punishment Museum in Ashburn, Georgia. Yeah, that's it. So that's pretty much all the events that we're going to be at and appearances we're going to be at. And of course, we've got other locations that we're going to be hitting before the end of this year. Primarily ending with season 2 going out with a bang at the Randolph County Asylum in December.
All right, guys. Well, you're starting to sound funny again. So I'm going to go ahead and let you guys go. But before you do, I want to thank you guys for jumping on here tonight with me, talking to me about your experiences. I really, really appreciate it. You guys are really cool, and hopefully we can do this again. Maybe I can jump onto your podcast when you get it going, and we can talk some more about what we love to do, and all that.
Sounds good.
Sounds great.
All right. Well, try not to put him in any more doghouses, Paula, and take care of Gavin for me, will you?
I'll do my best.
All right, guys. Thank you very much. I will see you on the interwebs, and you have a good night, okay?
All right, you too. Let's wave. Wave to everybody. Bye.
Bye. Good night.
I can't see you.
All right, guys. There you have it. Gavin and Paula of Phantasmic Ghost Hunters and Paranormal Into the Unknown. Paranormal Journey Into the Unknown. So you guys go over there, check their website out, check out their show on Amazon. Please show support to independent filmmakers and paranormal researchers that are actually out there going and doing it for real and not exploiting, people's lives and false claims and all of that garbage. We need all the support we can get. Thank you for watching, guys. I really, really appreciate you guys tuning in every week to support this live podcast, and I can't show my appreciation enough to you guys. So with all that being said, please check out my research that I do. I am the lead investigator and founder of a group called Interface Death out of Hillsboro, Ohio. You can check out my work at interfacedeath.net. All of my social links, YouTube channel, and film endeavors can be found there, and I really hope to see you there and subscribe to the mailing list and join our ever-growing paranormal community. With that being said, guys, I hope you have a good night, and I bid you farewell.
No problem. Does it still sound like crap? That's really bizarre.
It's like clockwork. So that's something you can use to help troubleshoot it. Always got the
So basically what I'll need to do is actually do a 20-minute segment, go to break, disconnect it, put it back together, do another 20 minutes, go to break, disconnect it. That's really weird it did that.